The message arrived on a Tuesday morning. It came through on all frequencies, in perfect English, and every other human language simultaneously. The screens at the United Nations Extraterrestrial Affairs Office in New York flickered, then displayed the seal of the Galactic Council, a spiral symbol with 37 stars representing each member species. Director Alan Wright stared at the screen, his coffee forgotten in his hand. Beside him, Deputy Director Susan Kelly's face had gone pale. This is an official declaration of hostilities from the Unified Galactic Council against the planet designated as Earth and all human territories. The message stated, "Your species has been deemed too unpredictable and volatile to be permitted further technological advancement. Immediate surrender is advised." Alan set down his cup slowly. "Get the Secretary General. Now." Within the hour, the UN Security Council gathered in emergency session. World leaders joined via secure video links. The message had been verified as authentic. It matched previous communications from the Council, an organization humanity had been monitoring but had never directly engaged with. "They're 30 light years away. How is this even possible?" asked the French representative. Susan pulled up the data analysis. "The transmission technology they're using doesn't follow our understanding of physics, and our deep space monitoring stations are detecting energy signatures beyond Mars. They're already here." The Chinese premier's voice was steady. "What military capabilities do we possess against such a threat?" General Laura Hudson, newly appointed head of Earth's Combined Defense Forces, stepped forward. "Very little that would be effective against a civilization capable of interstellar travel. Our most advanced spacecraft barely reached Mars. Their technology must be centuries beyond ours." The room fell silent. "But," Laura continued, "we do have one advantage. They've never fought humans before." In homes and public spaces across the world, the same message played. Panic spread like wildfire. In Chicago, people rushed to stores for supplies. In Mumbai, millions looked to the sky with fear. In Lagos, prayer services filled the streets. But as the hours passed, something unexpected happened. Humans began to rally. At NASA's headquarters, engineers gathered in conference rooms, sharing ideas wildly. "If they use quantum communication, maybe we can disrupt it," said one young scientist named Peter Johnson, sketching equations on a whiteboard. In military bases worldwide, soldiers prepared for the unthinkable. At Fort Bragg, Sergeant Olivia Garcia watched as her unit loaded experimental electromagnetic pulse weapons onto aircraft. "Never thought we'd be using these against actual aliens," she muttered. Meanwhile, Alan Wright and Susan Kelly stood in the White House Situation Room with the President and Joint Chiefs. "The Council has been observing us for decades," Susan explained. "They classified us as a volatile pre-FTL species according to the data we've intercepted from their communications. They fear what we might become, not what we are now." The President looked around the room. "Options. We fight," said General Hudson simply. "We fight with everything we have. They expect surrender. What they don't expect is resistance." Ellen nodded. "Our intelligence suggests the Council has never encountered a species that developed as unusually as humans. Most achieve space travel after solving their social problems. We did it the other way around." "So they're more advanced, but they're predictable," the President said, understanding dawning on his face. "Exactly," Ellen replied. "And we are anything but predictable." As night fell across America, orbital defense platforms detected the first Council ships entering Earth's orbit. They were beautiful, gleaming structures that moved with impossible grace. At Orbital Defense Station Aegis, Commander John Davis watched the alien fleet approach on his monitors. His palms were sweaty, but his voice remained calm as he addressed his crew. "Ladies and gentlemen, it appears we have the honor of humanity's first official interstellar battle. They expect us to fold. Let's show them what humans do when backed into a corner." He turned to his weapons officer, a young lieutenant named Olivia Martinez. "Target the lead vessel. Let's give the Galactic Council a proper Earth welcome. As the alien ships moved into range, humanity prepared to fight for its very existence, a fight that would shock a galaxy that had gravely underestimated the creatures of Earth. The alien ships moved with perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under Earth's sun. Commander John Davis watched them through the viewports of Orbital Defense Station Aegis. He had spent 15 years in space, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. All personnel to battle stations, he ordered, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his stomach. Activate defense protocols. The station hummed as its weapons systems came online. These defenses had been designed to stop missiles and satellites, not advanced alien warships. But they were all Earth had. Lieutenant Olivia Martinez sat at her console, fingers flying across the controls. As the station's AI specialist, she had one critical job: gather as much data as possible on the alien technology, even during combat. "Sir, I'm detecting energy buildups in the 3 lead vessels," reported the sensor officer. "They appear to be charging weapons." John took a deep breath. "Target the lead ship. Fire when ready." The station's railguns fired, sending tungsten rods hurtling toward the alien vessel at hypersonic speeds. To everyone's surprise, 2 of the projectiles made it through the alien shields, tearing into its sleek hull. "Direct hit," someone shouted. The alien ship listed to one side, leaking the strange blue substance into space. The other ships immediately changed formation. "They didn't expect that," John said, allowing himself a small smile. "They underestimated our kinetic weapons. Fire again, all batteries." The station shuddered as it unleashed everything it had. On Earth below, military commanders watched in stunned silence as the supposedly unstoppable alien fleet scattered to avoid Earth's primitive but surprisingly effective weapons. Olivia worked frantically at her station. "Sir, I'm collecting readings on their shield frequencies. There's something unusual about how they react to our projectiles." Before she could elaborate, the aliens returned fire. Beams of white energy lanced out, slicing through parts of the station. Alarms blared as sections decompressed. "Evacuate decks 7 through 12, John ordered. "Reroute power to remaining weapons." The battle continued for 17 minutes. The station managed to severely damage 1 alien ship and disable 2 others before taking critical hits. "Sir, structural integrity is failing," reported the engineering officer. "We have maybe 5 minutes before total collapse." John nodded grimly. "Begin evacuation. All personnel to escape pods." He turned to Olivia. "Lieutenant, did you get what we need?" She held up a data drive. "Yes, sir. Everything we learned about their weapons, shields, and communication systems. It's all here." Then this wasn't for nothing. John activated the station-wide comm. "This is Commander Davis. We've bloodied their nose, people. Now take what we've learned and make sure it counts. Escape pods launch in 3 minutes." As crew members rushed to evacuate, the alien ships regrouped. They had expected an easy victory over a primitive species. Instead, they'd lost 3 vessels and suffered damage to several others. On the Council command ship, Admiral Vrax of the Meridian species stared at the damage reports in disbelief. "How did their primitive weapons penetrate our shields?" he demanded. His science officer looked troubled. "The humans use simple kinetic projectiles. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons and guided missiles. We didn't account for their outdated technology actually being effective." Vrax's secondary eyes blinked in annoyance. "Adapt the shields immediately, and prepare a full report for the Council. These humans are more problematic than anticipated." Back on Earth, in the underground command center beneath the Pentagon, General Laura Hudson received word of the Aegis Station's final stand. "They've evacuated successfully," her aide reported. "Commander Davis and his crew are returning to Earth. And, sir, they're bringing valuable intelligence." Laura allowed herself a moment of relief before focusing on the screens showing rescue ships retrieving the escape pods. "Get that data to our science teams immediately," she ordered. "And tell Davis and his crew they just gave humanity its first victory." As the escape pods streaked through Earth's atmosphere, the news spread worldwide. Humanity had faced the Council's opening attack and survived. The war had only just begun, but an important message had been sent to the galaxy. Earth would not fall easily. The underground lab beneath MIT buzzed with activity as scientists and engineers pored over the data recovered by Lieutenant Olivia Martinez. Dr. Kevin Williams hadn't slept in 36 hours, but his eyes remained bright as he studied the alien shield frequencies. "This is incredible," he said, pointing to a pattern on his screen. "Their shields operate on quantum principles we've only theorized about. But look here. They have a critical weakness." Engineer Patricia Garcia leaned closer. "The pulse signatures. They disrupt when hit with certain electromagnetic frequencies." Kevin nodded excitedly. "Exactly. Their technology is so advanced that they've optimized against what they consider threats. Energy weapons, antimatter, things we can barely imagine. But they've completely overlooked protection against simpler electromagnetic pulse weapons." Patricia was already sketching modifications on her tablet. "We could adapt our existing EMP missiles, make them more focused, tune them to these exact frequencies." In the corner of the lab, Olivia Martinez smiled. Her data was already saving lives. Meanwhile, in the Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Council's capital world, the Meridian military strategist Zkthel faced harsh questioning. "You assured us this would be a simple pacification," said the Ardorian representative, her translucent skin pulsing with angry colors. "Yet we have lost 3 ships to a pre-FTL species." Zkthel's exoskeleton clicked nervously. "The humans employed unexpected tactics. Their technology is primitive, but used in ways we didn't anticipate." The Vordak counselor, a massive being resembling an upright lizard, growled. "Explain how these primitives damaged our vessels." "Their simplicity is their advantage," Zkthel admitted. "They still use basic projectile weapons, metal rods accelerated to high velocities. Our shields were calibrated for energy weapons and guided projectiles. And their soldiers," he hesitated, "they don't fight like any species we encountered. They adapt quickly, even in the middle of battle." Back on Earth, at Andrews Air Force Base, Lieutenant Colonel Samantha Lee inspected the modified fighter jets. Engineers had worked nonstop for 3 days, retrofitting them with the new EMP weapons designed by Patricia Garcia's team. "Will they work?" Samantha asked the chief engineer. He patted the missile attached to the jet's wing. "Based on the data from the Aegis station, these should penetrate their shields like they're not even there. After that, it's up to you pilots." Samantha nodded and climbed into her cockpit. She had been a fighter pilot for 12 years, but today she would fly against enemies from another world. "All pilots, this is Lightning Leader," she said into her radio. "Remember your training. These aliens might have fancy ships, but they've never faced Earth's best." 24 modified F-35s took off, climbing rapidly toward the alien ships that had entered Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean. The Council vessels were heading toward major population centers along the west coast. In the Council command ship, sensor operators detected the approaching Earth fighters. "Primitive aircraft approaching," one reported to Admiral Vrax. "Their weapons cannot harm us." Vrax wasn't so sure anymore. "Take evasive action. Do not underestimate them again." The alien ships scattered, but Samantha had anticipated this. "Split into attack groups. Target the engines first." The Earth fighters released their modified EMP missiles. As the weapons detonated near the alien ships, the results were immediate and dramatic. Alien shields flickered and failed. Their advanced systems, vulnerable to the precisely tuned electromagnetic pulses, shut down. "It worked," Samantha shouted as she banked her jet hard to avoid debris. "All units, conventional weapons free." The fighters unleashed their remaining missiles at the now vulnerable alien ships. 3 council vessels crashed into the ocean. 2 more retreated, limping back to space. In the Pentagon Command Center, General Laura Hudson watched the battle unfold on satellite feeds. "My God," she whispered, "they did it." Her aide couldn't contain his excitement. "Ma'am, we just won our first air battle against an alien invasion force." Laura allowed herself a small smile. "Get me the president, and contact our science team. I want to know what other weaknesses these aliens have that they don't know about yet." Across the solar system, news of the battle spread among the Council fleet. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council faced something unfamiliar: the possibility of defeat. On the Galactic Council's capital world of Nexus Prime, the Grand Chamber was in chaos. Representatives from 37 species argued loudly across the circular room. The recent battles with Earth had not gone as planned. Ambassador Tolvox of the Ardorians stood, raising all 4 of his slender arms for attention. His translucent skin glowed a calm blue, contrasting with the angry reds and yellows of his fellow council members. "I have reviewed the human broadcasts," Tolvox said, his voice soft but carrying. "They show families, children, art, and music. These are not the actions of a species that deserves extermination. They are dangerous," shouted the Vordak representative, pounding his scaled fist on the table. "Their aggression and unpredictability make them a threat to galactic stability." Tolvox turned his large eyes toward the Vordak. "They are defending their home, as any species would. Perhaps we should consider diplomatic options." Meanwhile, at the United Nations in New York, Secretary Sharon Patel prepared for the boldest move in human diplomatic history. For decades, Earth had secretly monitored Council communications, learning their languages and customs without revealing this knowledge. "Are we ready?" she asked her team of diplomats and linguists. Her chief advisor nodded. "The message has been translated into all 37 Council languages. We've matched their communication protocols perfectly." Sharon took a deep breath. "Send it." Across the galaxy, on the private communication channels of 7 key Council species, a message appeared, in their own languages, using their own diplomatic protocols. It contained information about Earth, about human culture and achievements, and most importantly, evidence that several dominant Council species had lied about human aggression to justify the war. Back on Earth, NASA engineer Doug Miller worked frantically in his lab beneath the Houston Space Center. On his workbench lay components from a damaged alien engine, recovered from one of the downed Council ships. "The principle is similar to our theoretical Alcubierre drive," he explained to his team. "They're bending space-time, but using an element we haven't discovered yet." His colleague, Dr. Julie Patel, pointed to a glowing blue cylinder. "Whatever this is, it's the key to their faster-than-light travel. If we can understand it, we can build our own," Doug finished. "And if humans can travel between stars, the Council loses its biggest advantage." On the Council command ship orbiting Mars, Admiral Vrax received an urgent message from the capital. Several Council species were questioning the war, demanding investigation into the claims made in Earth's diplomatic transmissions. "How did they access our secure channels?" Vrax demanded. "How do they even know our languages?" His communications officer looked troubled. "It appears they've been studying us for decades, Admiral. They understand more about our political structure than we realized." Vrax's secondary eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of stress in meridians. "This changes the strategic situation. If the Council fragments over this war..." In Washington, D.C., President Richard Campbell met with the Joint Chiefs in the Situation Room. The early victories had provided hope, but everyone knew they were still vastly outmatched. "What's our status?" he asked General Laura Hudson. "We've repelled their initial attacks, but our advantages won't last," Laura replied honestly. "They're adapting to our EMP weapons already, but we bought time for our scientists to study their technology." The president nodded gravely. "And our diplomatic initiative?" Secretary Sharon Patel, joining via secure video, smiled slightly. "It's working better than we hoped. Our intelligence suggests 7 Council species are now questioning the war. The Ardorians, in particular, seem sympathetic to our cause. So we fight on 2 fronts, the President said. Military and diplomatic. 3 fronts, corrected Doug Miller, who had been invited to present his findings. We're making progress on understanding their propulsion systems. If we can achieve interstellar capability, even in a limited way, we can take the fight to them. The President looked around the room at the determined faces of Earth's defenders. Against all odds, humanity was not just surviving, it was fighting back. Very well, he said. General Hudson, prepare our forces for their next attack. Secretary Patel, continue diplomatic outreach. And Mr. Miller, he paused, get us to the stars. Admiral Frank Rodriguez stood in the Lunar Command Center, watching the holographic display of the solar system. Red dots showed the positions of Council ships, gathering for what intelligence suggested would be their biggest attack yet. They're adapting to our tactics, he said to the officers around him. But so are we. Colonel Diana Wright nodded. The trap is set. All we need is for them to take the bait. Frank turned to the communications officer. Begin the broadcast. Make sure it's on frequencies we know they monitor. Immediately, Earth's military channels lit up with apparent battle plans, details of defense positions around the moon, weapon placements, and fleet movements. All of it carefully crafted misinformation. In Earth orbit, Council spy ships intercepted the transmissions. Within hours, the data was in the hands of Admiral Vrax. The humans are reinforcing their lunar bases, Vrax told his War Council. Their main fleet is positioned to defend Earth directly. The moon is vulnerable. His second-in-command looked skeptical. This intelligence seems convenient. Vrax dismissed the concern. Humans are primitive. They still use unsecured communication channels. Prepare all ships for attack on the lunar installations. 24 hours later, 60 Council warships approached the moon. Their sensors showed minimal defenses, exactly as their intelligence had indicated. The ships moved into attack formation, targeting the largest lunar base. As the first ships entered range, the lunar surface erupted. Hidden explosives, buried days earlier by Earth engineers, detonated in carefully planned sequences. The explosions weren't powerful enough to destroy the alien ships outright, but they didn't need to be. The blasts threw millions of tiny metal fragments into space, simple shrapnel, traveling at high velocities. The cloud of metal shards tore through the Council ship's shields, which were designed to stop energy weapons, not thousands of tiny physical projectiles. In the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Rodriguez watched as Council ships suffered massive damage. Phase 2, he ordered. From hidden hangars on the far side of the moon, Earth's fighter squadrons launched. They targeted the damaged ships, using conventional missiles and more of the specialized EMP weapons that had proven so effective. While the Council fleet was engaged at the moon, Colonel Diana Wright led Earth's real counteroffensive. 3 transport ships carrying 2,000 soldiers and Marines approached the Council's forward base on Mars. The base had been established as a staging area for the invasion of Earth and was relatively lightly defended. All units, prepare for landing, Diana ordered as their ships entered Mars orbit. Remember your training. Their technology is superior, but our tactics are better. The Earth ships landed at 3 different sites around the Mars base. Council defenders were caught completely by surprise. They had expected any attack to come from space, not a ground assault. Earth soldiers, wearing experimental-powered armor developed from captured alien tech, breached the base perimeter at multiple points. The fighting was intense but brief. Within 3 hours, the Earth forces had captured the Council's Mars Command Center, their communication arrays, and most importantly, their supply depots. Diana stood in the captured command center, looking at the alien computer screens now being operated by Earth technicians. Send the message to Earth, she ordered. Mars base secure. All Council data and equipment captured intact. Back on Earth, in the Pentagon War Room, Cheers erupted as the news arrived. General Laura Hudson allowed herself a rare smile before turning to her staff. The Council just lost their forward operating base and a significant portion of their fleet, she said. But they'll regroup. We need to exploit this advantage immediately. She pointed to the large display showing the solar system. We've thrown them off balance. Now we press the attack. In his private chambers on the Council capital world, Ambassador Tolvox received the news of the twin defeats at the Moon and Mars. His skin rippled with blue patterns of concern as he composed a message to his allies on the Council. The war against Earth must end, he wrote. These humans are not just fighting back, they are winning. If we continue, we may face not just defeat, but a new interstellar power with every reason to hate us. Council Intelligence Officer Xandor stared at his screens in growing alarm. Across the Council's military network, strange errors were appearing. Battle plans changed without authorization. Supply ships diverted to wrong locations. Communication systems failed at critical moments. We have been infiltrated, he reported to the Council's Security Committee. The humans have somehow gained access to our networks. The committee members looked at him in disbelief. One elder Vordak scoffed. Impossible. Their technology is too primitive. Xandor displayed the evidence. This is not about technology. The humans fight differently. They call it hacking. It's a form of information warfare no Council species ever developed to this degree. In a basement facility beneath Seattle, computer scientist Eric Barnes led a team of 200 programmers. They had been working non-stop for weeks, using knowledge gained from captured alien computers. Their systems are advanced, but they never expected anyone to try breaking in, Eric explained to the military observers. They have no concept of cybersecurity as we understand it. One of his team called from across the room. We're in their command network. We can see their fleet movements in real time. Eric grinned. Start feeding them false information. Make their ships chase ghosts. The digital battlefield wasn't the only place where Earth was making progress. In Geneva, where the United Nations maintained its diplomatic operations, Secretary Sharon Patel met with representatives from Earth's governments. We've made contact with 4 Council species who are sympathetic to our cause, she said. They've been sharing information that's critical to our efforts. She displayed images of Council documents. According to this, the larger species have been manipulating the others for centuries. The Meridians and Vordaks in particular have been using the Council to ensure their dominance. Can we exploit these divisions? Asked the Indian ambassador. Sharon nodded. We already are. We've been leaking information about Council politics to specific species, carefully chosen to accelerate the fracturing of their alliance. Meanwhile, on the Council capital world, Ambassador Tolvox met secretly with representatives from the Praxians, Nomari, and Tellarites, all smaller Council species who had been questioning the war. The dominant species lied to us, Tolvox said quietly. Humans are not the mindless aggressors we were told they were. Look at this. He showed them Earth's artistic achievements, literature and music, materials that Earth diplomats had provided. They create beauty, said the Praxian representative, her crystalline body reflecting light as she moved. The Vordaks told us they only make weapons. In Earth orbit, the rebuilt defense station, now designated New Aegis, detected unusual movement among the Council fleet. Several ships were breaking formation, moving away from the main battle groups. General Laura Hudson received the report in her office at the Pentagon. Confirmed those readings. Are they retreating or repositioning? Her aide studied the data. Neither, ma'am. According to their transponder codes, those ships belong to the Praxians, Nomari, and Tellarites. They appear to be withdrawing from the Council fleet entirely. Laura allowed herself a small smile. Sharon's diplomatic offensive is working. Get me the president. On the Council command ship, Admiral Vrax faced a growing crisis. Not only were Earth's forces proving unexpectedly effective, but now his own fleet was coming apart. The Praxians and their allies have formally withdrawn from the conflict, his second-in-command reported. 3 other species are threatening to do the same. Vrax slammed his appendage on the console. Those cowards. And what of our network issues? Worsening. Admiral, our technicians can't keep the humans out of our systems. They've never encountered this type of warfare before. In Washington, President Richard Campbell addressed a joint session of Congress. His speech was broadcast worldwide. For the first time since this conflict began, we can see a path to victory, he said, not through overwhelming force, but through human ingenuity. Our hackers have infiltrated their networks. Our diplomats have exposed their lies. Their alliance is fracturing. He paused, looking directly at the cameras. The Galactic Council thought Earth would be an easy conquest. They're learning that humans don't surrender. We adapt. We innovate. And most importantly, we stand together. Across Earth, people who had lived in fear for weeks now dared to hope. The alien invaders had not expected a species like humanity, one that turned its very primitive nature into an unexpected advantage. The war entered its 3rd month. In underground facilities across Earth, scientists and engineers worked day and night, combining human innovation with captured alien technology. The results were beyond what anyone could have imagined. At Cape Canaveral, Captain Lisa Powell stood before the gleaming hull of the ESS Defiance, Earth's first true starship. Though small compared to Council vessels, it represented an achievement many had thought impossible. Humans had developed faster-than-light capability. "She's ready for her first flight," said the chief engineer, unable to hide his pride. "We've incorporated the alien drive technology, but with human improvements, she's faster and more maneuverable than anything the Council has." Lisa ran her hand along the ship's hull. "How many more are under construction?" 5 more will be ready next week. After that, we can build 2 per day." On the Council Capital World, Grand Strategist Vrax stood before the full Council, his report causing murmurs of concern among the assembled representatives. "The humans have achieved what should have been impossible," he said grimly. "In just 3 months, they have adapted our technologies and in some cases improved upon them. Their rate of innovation under pressure is unprecedented in galactic history." The Meridian High Counselor leaned forward. "How is this possible? They were pre-FTL when we began this conflict." "That is precisely what makes them dangerous," Vrax replied. "Most species develop technology gradually, over centuries. Humans, when threatened, accelerate their innovation to extraordinary levels. They take risks no rational species would consider." In Earth orbit, Lisa Powell led a crew of 20 aboard the Defiance. All were top pilots, scientists and engineers drawn from nations across Earth. "All systems ready," reported her first officer. "FTL drive charged and stable." Lisa took a deep breath. This would be humanity's first journey beyond the solar system. "Engage FTL on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." The stars blurred as the Defiance leaped into faster-than-light travel. Seconds later, they emerged near Jupiter, where a Council supply fleet operated, unaware of the approaching Earth vessel. "They don't see us yet," said the tactical officer. "Our stealth systems are working." Lisa nodded. "Target their command ship. Fire when ready." The Defiance launched missiles designed by human engineers, weapons that combined conventional explosives with the alien technology they had studied. The Council ships, caught by surprise, had no time to raise shields. 3 exploded immediately, while 2 more drifted, disabled. "Message from Earth Command," the communications officer announced. "The other ships are launching. We're to rendezvous at coordinates for joint strike." Within hours, 6 Earth ships gathered near Saturn, forming humanity's first interstellar battle group. Their next target, the Council's main supply base beyond Pluto. On the Council command ship, Admiral Vrax received news of the attack with growing horror. "Humans now have FTL capability. How is this possible?" His science officer looked shaken. "They've not only adapted our technology, they've improved it. Their ships are smaller but faster than ours, and they've developed weapons we've never seen before. Vrax stared at the tactical display. They're no longer contained to Earth. The entire strategic situation has changed. In the council chambers, the mood had shifted dramatically. Several species that had initially supported the war now called for immediate peace talks. "We underestimated them," said the Praxian representative. "What we thought was primitive was simply different. Their adaptability makes them not just difficult opponents today, but potentially uncontainable tomorrow." Ambassador Tolvox seized the moment. "I move that we immediately suspend hostilities and open formal diplomatic relations with Earth." The vote was not unanimous, but the majority prevailed. The Ardorians, Praxians, Nomari, and Tellarites would break from the Council's war effort and seek separate peace with humans. Back on Earth, in the White House Situation Room, President Campbell received the news with cautious optimism. "They want peace talks," he asked Secretary Patel. "Several species do," she confirmed. "They're impressed by how quickly we've advanced. Some are even suggesting that humans would make valuable allies, not enemies." General Hudson smiled slightly. "From extermination to alliance in 3 months. That might be our most impressive achievement yet." Outside, crowds gathered to watch the sky, not in fear as they had months ago, but in wonder. Earth ships were now among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same. Commander Ryan Carter stood on the bridge of the ESS Intrepid, leading a fleet of 12 Earth ships. They had traveled farther than any humans before them, reaching the edge of the solar system known as the Kuiper Belt. Here, the remaining hardline Council forces had gathered for a final stand. "They outnumber us 3-1, said his first officer, looking at the tactical display. Ryan nodded calmly. "But we have surprise on our side. They still don't understand how humans fight." The Earth fleet split into 4 groups, approaching the Council armada from different angles. Earth scientists had developed a new technology that temporarily disrupted the alien communication systems. When activated, the Council ships could no longer coordinate their actions. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta," Ryan ordered. The Earth vessels darted between the larger, slower Council ships, firing with precision at engines and weapon systems. The Council vessels tried to respond, but without coordination, they often fired at empty space, or in some cases at their own allies. The battle lasted just under 2 hours. When it ended, half the Council fleet had been destroyed or disabled. The rest retreated, jumping to faster-than-light speed to escape. Ryan allowed himself a small smile. "Send word to Earth. The Kuiper Belt is secure." On Earth, in the Grand Hall of the United Nations, diplomat Grace Miller led the human negotiating team. Across the table sat representatives from the Ardorians, Praxians, Nomari, and Tellarites, the Council species that had broken away to seek peace. "We do not request your surrender," Grace said, her voice firm but respectful. "We demand recognition. Earth is a sovereign power with rights to develop its own solar system and limited interstellar territories." Ambassador Tolvox of the Ardorians inclined his head. "After witnessing your people's resolve and ingenuity, we would be fools to demand anything less. The question is whether the remaining Council hardliners will accept these terms." The answer came sooner than expected. Following the defeat in the Kuiper Belt, the Meridians and Vordax, the dominant Council species who had pushed hardest for war, sent representatives to join the peace talks. "We underestimated your species," admitted the Meridian delegate stiffly. "The Council has voted to accept terms." The peace treaty was signed the following day. Earth was recognized as a sovereign power with rights to its solar system and limited territories beyond. A non-aggression pact was established. Most importantly, humans would have a voice in the Galactic Council going forward. President Richard Campbell addressed the world after the signing ceremony. 3 months ago, an alien force declared war on Earth, believing we would be an easy conquest. Today, we sign a treaty as equals. He paused, looking out at the crowd. This is not just a victory for our weapons or our strategy. This is a victory for humanity's greatest strength, our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to stand together in the face of overwhelming odds. 6 months later, scientist-astronaut Jeff Barnes stepped onto the surface of Proxima Centauri, leading the first human settlement outside our solar system. As he planted Earth's flag in the alien soil, he spoke words that were broadcast back to Earth. "We came to the stars through fire and struggle," he said, looking up at the unfamiliar sky. "But we will remain among them through cooperation and understanding." On the Council Capital World, anthropologist Dr. Vental of the Ardorians began a new research project. Its title, Adaptability Under Pressure: Why Humans Succeed Where Others Fail. "Most species in our galaxy evolved in stable environments," she explained to her colleagues. "They developed technology slowly, carefully. Humans evolved in a constantly changing environment. They had to adapt quickly or die. This makes them fundamentally different." She displayed images of Earth's rapid technological development during the war. In just 3 months, they went from a pre-FTL civilization to a spacefaring power that fought us to a standstill. Imagine what they might achieve in peace. As ships from Earth began appearing at trading posts and scientific outposts across the galaxy, other species watched with a mixture of curiosity and caution. The humans had surprised everyone, including themselves. The species that the Galactic Council had tried to extinguish now took its place among the stars, not just as survivors, but as innovators whose unique perspective would forever change the galaxy.